What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Breaker Bros. And tonight we're just going to kind of review the Bengals free agency. And then, of course, we're going to end off with another mock draft. Because if we keep doing them, we're eventually going to get it right.
That means no matter who they pick, we can claim that we predicted it, right?
I would say for the most part, we've picked a lot of the same people. I mean, we've had some variations, but for the most part, I feel like I want to say maybe like 60%, maybe 65%.
Shout out to Eric Hall.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because lately I've noticed
time, man.
Yeah, in the 7th round, which is weird. I think PFF finally updated its rankings.
Well, yeah, it was last week. We picked them. They ranked them in the top. Like I think it was like 105 or 110 somewhere.
Did we get him in the 5th round, or did we? No, we didn't. We did
one pick ahead, and they gave us an F for the pick because I think they updated him in the rankings, but not updated him in the grading. So like, you picked this guy that was 3 something at 107. You guys are idiots. It's like, no, you said he was 105, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't really heard much like buzz around him in terms of like the combine. I don't even know if he was invited to the combine. Do you know?
I don't know. I think he was there. I don't think he worked out. I bet you they interviewed him or did a health thing. But I don't know. I'm just making that up at this point.
Yeah, no, I just noticed he's gone up in rankings, and like a lot of the more recent mock drafts I've seen, he's going like in the 4th and 5th round now. So it's like probably closer to the 5th round. I did see reports that the Bengals are very interested in Holker, or there is, I guess, interest there. I guess they project him between the 3rd and 5th round. I feel like he's more of like a 5th rounder because I feel like he ran kind of slow. If he was more considered on the faster end, because I think what you want to do is you want to run a little bit faster than a 4.7.
Okay.
If you want to be considered, I guess, on the faster end of tight end. Are you looking it up?
I'm looking at his draft profile prospect. Do you know he's from Fairfield?
What?
Yeah.
But isn't Carmen from Fairfield too?
Yeah.
Jackson Carmen?
Well, no, he went to Lakota. I think Lakota West, maybe. So not. I guess he could be from Fairfield, like Fairfield adjacent. If he's in.
Okay, so he was at the combine then, right? Yeah, because they have a grade.
Well, they have details on him, but I don't know if he is actually there. I don't know how you find that out.
I guess you could see if he's got like 40.
Okay, here you go. Dayton Daily News reporting. Eric Hall arrived at the NFL scouting combine with good news and bad.
Looks like he had surgery.
Yeah, that's why he didn't play the whole year. That's why he's so low on the list. But yeah, okay. Confirmed. There's a picture of him with the combine background wearing the combine gear. So, like I said, I was 100% sure he was there.
Yeah, it was weird because I didn't hear anything about him, but I guess he wasn't there to participate. He was just there to do interviews, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think guys that are hurt go to interview.
Yeah, like meet the coaches and do all that type of stuff.
I think that's kind of, as fans, I think that's one of the more underrated parts of it. Is I think that a lot of the combine is more about meeting with guys, and I've heard other people say that the medical part's really important.
Yeah, I can see that. I know, like when the Bengals interviewed Whitworth, at least Marvin Lewis was always saying that Whitworth's interview was always like the best one he's ever had.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that really solidified him getting picked in the 2nd round.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is just getting common measurements, right? Because like if you, everybody like how we joke about like anybody who's like listed in college, like in the college program as being 6 foot even, is like definitely under 6 foot. I think that a lot of it's just getting common measurements. Like this guy's really 6'4", this guy's really 6'2". You know what I mean? I think that's all part of it.
Yeah, it's I guess for people that are really into football, we tend to, I guess, hype up the combine for whatever reason. Like it was just, it's always funny to me. I mean, I like the 40 times and like the bench and some of the drills. But
Hmm.
like it was just funny when we were watching it, I guess the linemen and then them doing like certain drills. It's just kind of funny to watch. You know what I mean? Because it's just like they're doing like moves around the field, and
Yeah.
I don't really know how much you can actually get from that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
My favorite drill is the drill where like any drill where there's an assistant coach and there's somebody running full speed and he goes and points and they have to go, oh no, I go that direction, like that. Like that means something. I guess I think part of the allure is that it's like what you imagine like a tryout would be, right? But there's like hours of these guys playing football, and like they actually know from talking to coaches who's who and all those sorts of things. So I think it's more of a TV event anymore than like a real like test of physical stuff. But some dudes, I think if you run fast, I mean I mean people always downplay the 40, but it just you never
you think
see
people
someone.
downplay the 40?
Sometimes coaches like downplay the 40, or like you see analysts say like, oh well, 40 isn't really like game speed. But like when the draft comes rolling around, if there's a dude who runs like a super fast 40, that guy's stock always goes up. And conversely, if there's a guy who runs a slow 40, his draft stock always goes down.
Yeah.
And who was the Bengals left tackle from Alabama? No, right tackle from way back when, where he ran with his shirt off. And like,
Andre Smith.
Yeah, Andre Smith was like ridiculed for years for being kind of having extra body parts flapping around, running his 40 without a shirt on. But he was one of my favorite Bengals right tackles. I liked watching that guy run block. That's a guy that got to the second level and took people out. But like,
No, Andre Smith was he's always been consistent. Like you knew what you were gonna get out of him.
he played forever too. But like,
yeah, that's another thing.
That one combine experience like stayed with him,
Because he played for Cincinnati for like 7 years, and then he went somewhere else for like a handful of years, and then I feel like he finished his career with Cincinnati essentially the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, I'm googling it right now. Let's see. There you go. 6 years with the Bengals, then Vikings, Bengals, Cardinals, Bengals, Ravens.
Oh, he finished it with the Ravens. Wow, he played 2 years with the Ravens, or 3.
So it's like 12-year NFL career.
Yeah, that's really good, especially for a lineman.
98 games started, 121 games played. No slouch.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to say that was a solid draft pick.
Yeah. 5'2", 40.
All right. Well, let's get into the Bengals free agency. So I guess the big thing was tagging T. Higgins, and I feel like, well, most Bengals fans understood that was going to happen. There was like a brief moment where people actually believed that he wasn't going to be part of the Bengals.
Yeah, we never bought into that.
Well, I've always had a feeling he was going to resign, but now I'm getting, as time goes on, and as we see these other receivers getting paid that are not as good as T. Higgins, it's more and more looking like he's probably going to go somewhere else. I feel like the Bengals are probably going to learn from the Bates situation, and I think what they're going to do next year is tag him and then trade him. I think you try to do as much as you can with him this year. Hopefully he balls out.
Bates, they got a 3rd round compensatory pick for him.
Yeah, but why get a 3rd rounder when you get like a 1st or 2nd rounder? I personally think T. Higgins is worth a 1st rounder. I
just don't buy into that, because like, if you have to pay a player their fair salary, like they're not worth a first rounder. I mean,
Yeah, they are,
market
because
value.
you're guaranteeing that you're getting the player that you want.
That's not a first round pick though. That's like a fourth or fifth round pick.
Yeah, but most first round picks are not as good as T. Higgins. I think that's the thing that people
You're missing
forget.
my point. First round picks are like $5 million a year. You're paying T. Higgins $30 million a year.
Right, but well, I don't think he's going to get $30 million a year, but
How much is he going to get then? 25, 20?
yeah, probably like 26,
Okay,
25 or 26. I don't know. I don't even know if he can ask for that. I
mean,
mean, if he has a really good year, then
first
yeah.
round pick.
Yeah, but a first round pick doesn't guarantee you anything. Yeah, if you want to save a little money, even though relatively speaking, first round picks are a little bit more expensive than.
If you have to pay market value for a guy, that's what they're worth. So that contract has no value.
Yeah, it does, because it's the reason why they're worth what you're paying them is because you're essentially saying that that's the production that you're going to get out of them, right?
No.
Yeah. Otherwise, people wouldn't pay high salaries to football players if they weren't productive.
If you're paying them the salary, then you need that production, or else it's a loss. Whereas a first round pick to outperform the $5 million salary.
I guess the point you're missing, what I'm saying is that when you sign a person like T. Higgins, you're more likely to guarantee that you're going to get that production versus a first rounder that has never played in the NFL. I mean, think about all the great receivers that were, great in college, but were picked in the first round and never really did anything.
Okay. Think about all the big name free agents that you pay a bunch of money to and they pull a hamstring week one. I mean, it's the same thing. There's no guarantee of performance. There's a risk. It's hard to be a third round.
But that's injuries. I mean, injuries are going to happen regardless, right? Like you can't. I don't know. Like I said, it's not worth for the Bengals to pay two receivers.
Injured a lot. They're more likely to get injured than a younger player who's not been injured yet.
I don't think T has been injured that much.
He's missed quite a few games.
He's missed quite a few games.
I'm trying to make. I'm not trying to say that T. Higgins is injury prone. I'm just saying that, like, big dollar free agency deals don't always work. A lot of times they blow up in your face, like Russell Wilson. Like that trade was not a good trade because the Broncos thought that they were spending $80 million to get a guaranteed high-level quarterback, and they got somebody who played like Kenny Pickett played better than Russell Wilson, right?
Kenny Pickett played better than Russell Wilson? No.
Yeah, Russell Wilson for the Broncos versus Kenny Pickett for the
No,
Steelers.
It's not even close. What are you talking about? Kenny, I want to say, you can look this up. I want to say,
checking the facts here.
I want to say Russell Wilson had almost similar stats to Mahomes.
In Denver?
Yes. There was like I'm pretty sure I saw like a meme of it.
So 2022, he had 3,500 yards, 16 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. And then last year he had 3,000 yards, 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions.
Yeah, that's way better than Kenny Pickett. That's like, it's not even close, dude. Kenny Pickett, for his career, has 13 touchdowns. For his career.
Statistics. Let's see some stats. So last year he threw for 2,000 yards, 6 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. All right, he sucks.
Yeah,
that's a bad example.
Well, it's not the same either because Russell Wilson was already on the decline when the Broncos gave him that ridiculous contract, right? T. Higgins is going into his prime, and he's a receiver. So it's like,
what? Quarterbacks are more valuable than receivers.
well, if they're elite, yes, but I'm just saying, like, if you take a really good receiver from team to team, they tend to perform a little bit better than quarterbacks from team to team. You know what I mean? Like,
No.
I feel like they're a little bit more transferable in terms of their production.
Okay. I mean, if that's what you say, I don't know how you. I can't think of a single example.
A single example of what? We just talked about one.
A receiver?
Well, a quarterback.
Well, that's what I mean, like a receiver.
I mean, look
Amari Cooper?
how well did Carson Palmer did outside of the Bengals?
I don't know. I feel like he did pretty good in Arizona a year. I don't know why we're talking. It's just like, why are we talking about Carson Palmer? How do we get here?
Because you're on the side that T. Higgins isn't worth a first round pick or maybe even a second round pick, and I'm like, yeah, he is if it's to the right team, because he's not the number one receiver at the Bengals. So you gotta take into account, like, if he is the true number one on a different team, he's gonna have a lot more production than what he's having right now. Although I do think it helps having like Chase and a T. Higgins, because they kind of help each other out.
Even though he threw for 4,671 yards, 35 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. That was a pretty good year.
Yeah, he had one good year, but then he was just always hurt, I think.
It was
his
like
problem.
literally his best season as a professional.
Okay, but look at all the other years surrounding it.
The next year, 4,226 touchdowns. I mean, he had 2 better years in Cincinnati, but then it's same as 2007 year, better than 2009, better than 2010. I mean, I don't even know why we're talking about this. I'm just saying, if you have to pay someone full value of contract, they're not worth a first rounder. I mean, have teams done it? Yes, but those are, to me, those are always bad trades.
I think the Eagles are pretty satisfied
With who?
AJ Brown.
What did they give up for him?
I think a first and a
That was a third rounder.
no, it was a first and a third rounder. He got 2 picks.
In exchange for that. Okay, well, that's one that worked out. Hey, so they got a first round pick. Was he franchised?
No, I think
doesn't matter because he signed a 4-year, $100 million deal.
that's what I'm saying. He signed a big contract after he was traded, but I do think he had like he was on his last year of his rookie deal.
Yeah,
it's a little bit of a difference, but
it's a big difference. That's the whole point of the argument.
No, because even if you franchise tag him, right, and you have to pay him the $25 million, if you trade for him, which most likely if the team is willing to trade for him, they're going to give him a contract anyways, right? Mm-hmm. You're going to shuffle the money regardless. The point of trading for a player as opposed to waiting for free agency is that you guarantee that you get that player. And I think for a player like T, especially if he does what he should do, if he can just play the majority of the games this next coming year, I'm confident we'll get a first round pick. I'm just hoping.
I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying that, in my opinion, it's not worth it. I would not make that trade.
And I would tend to agree with you, but I just, based off of how the league is, and
I want to say I want to pull Mel Kiper. It's just like anyone who makes that trade doesn't understand how the NFL draft works. You should never trade a first rounder for a guy that's getting his full value in contract as a player. It's just always a bad trade. Always.
I see, again, you can't say always, because what if you pick a dud? Like that's the point. I
Yeah,
don't know. I
but
just
what if the guy gets hurt? That's what I'm saying. Is you're
either one
taking a
can get
risk.
hurt. That doesn't make it. What are
No.
you talking about?
It's a bad move. Just because sometimes you get lucky and you make a bad decision and it works out, but it's still a bad decision. You shouldn't be. You can't win if you constantly make bad decisions.
It's weird because we kind of agree, but the reason why I essentially disagree is because teams have shown, especially those big market teams, they actually have the capital just to spend whatever, you know. They always have that cash on hand. They don't care. It's just money is not that important to them. You know what I mean? Like they know that they got it and they just want to win. So they're going to get the players that they feel like they need, and they're going to do whatever it takes to get them. It's like the Eagles to me is like the perfect example of that. It's that it's like every year it feels like they're doing something that I kind of like wish sometimes the Bengals would, which I don't know. I feel like, I don't know, maybe like the last 5 or so years, I've actually trusted the Bengals organization a little bit more in terms of,
You're sounding Canadian there, but go on.
Yeah, but no, I'm just saying, like, they seem to do, I guess, smart, savvy business decisions. Like they try to find veterans that haven't necessarily reached their full potential in free agency. Like they try to get them in like a decent contract where they're not necessarily overspending.
I don't think there's smart and dumb. Well, okay, there's some dumb franchises, but generally, I think there's not really smart and dumb front offices. I think either you got the quarterback or you don't. Because I just don't think that you can sign guys like Trent Brown unless you have Joe Burrow. Because that guy's going to go to a team that he thinks can win. And if you got Andy Dalton, that guy won't come to Cincinnati.
I agree with that to a certain extent,
So
but
it's
then
just like it's easier to be smart when the perception of the players in the league are that you've got the guy at quarterback. So then they'll come play for you because these guys are getting all like mediocre offers from like 5 teams. So then they just pick the best team. Like you can always get the free agent if you're the high bidder, right? Like if everybody else is offering 10 and you offer 13 million a year, you're going to get the guy. But if 3 teams are offering 10, the player's going to pick the team that he believes is going to win. And when you got 9, players will come play for the Bengals. And you're like, oh, the front office is smart. They're adding like good players through free agency. It's like, yeah, you can do that because you solved the quarterback riddle, right? Whereas like, you know, like Arizona, they have to pay top dollar to get their players. Like if you're the Commanders, you're not going to get good veteran guys at kind of mid-level contracts. You're going to have to like pay up to get your guys. So,
I mean, it definitely helps having Burrow. Like I definitely agree with that. But a lot of the moves that they made that were really good happened before anyone knew like how good Burrow was. Like a lot of them happened during his rookie year or his second year, like after the injury. So there wasn't no like, I'm sure if you were inside the building and like you knew,
but I mean, like some of the guys they got there were the top bidders, right? So,
well, maybe like Reader. I think Trey Waynes was a bad signing, so you can't really talk about him. But Awuzie, that was a good signing. Hilton Hendrickson was a big one.
Trey Hendrickson, I think we were the top.
Bell.
Because when they signed Hendrickson, there were a lot of questions as to whether or not he could play like full time because he had like high production for like.
So many Bengals fans were upset about signing Hendrickson. I remember that.
I mean, like Hendrickson was a guy that before he came to the Bengals was only playing like 30 to 40% of the snaps, and everybody was like, "Well, you're signing this guy to be a full time player, and he's never done it," and they were right. So I don't know. All right, so we're going to talk about this year's free agency, or we're just going to talk about the past?
Well, we are talking about this year's free agency.
Okay.
But yeah, we take T. Higgins, and like I said, I feel like he's obviously going to play this year because if no team's willing to give up a first this year, they're not going to let him go. And I don't even like. To me, it's silly to take a second. I think you're better off just waiting one more year. Hopefully, he has a better next year or this coming year. And I think if he has a year that he should have, then I feel like that first round pick is going to be more viable, especially if we had another year.
I don't think there's any way they trade T. Higgins this year.
I agree. That's what I'm saying. Next year, he's got to play well this year. Because I feel like they're going to tag him again next year. I think that's always been the plan. They're going to take him this year and next year. Because if you average out the two tags, because it's 21 million this year and then it's like 25 million next year.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's a little bit more than that. It averages around to where he gets like 24 or something like that for both years.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's like around 23.
I don't think it's a bad deal. I don't know if that's the plan.
I think that's the plan for now, but
because you don't know what's going to take to re-sign Jamar.
I think they have a pretty good idea, and I'm pretty sure Jamar is going to get re-signed before Higgins. Like, I'm pretty confident about that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, that's what happened last year with Joe Burrow. They signed his.
I don't mean about Jamar. I mean more about Higgins. Like, I don't know that I don't think it's like for sure he's going to get tagged again next year. I still think that's like a maybe. You know, I don't feel greater than 60% confidence that they would tag him again.
Well, yeah, I mean, if he has a down year and he doesn't look like what he should look like, then yeah, they probably would just let him walk, right? But
that, or if he gets hurt again this year, I don't think that they would tag him again.
That's a possibility, but regardless, he's going to be back one more year at the very least. I was hoping maybe we would get like a 3-year extension or a 3-year contract just to extend it out a little bit more, but I don't know. The more time goes on, it seems less likely that he'll be back. I think the problem that we're having is that he's not trying to give the Bengals like a hometown, well, not really a hometown discount, but essentially a discount for him to stay and then to have the two good receivers, really good receivers. It sounds like he wants to be paid like a number one receiver, like a number one elite receiver, which is, I don't know.
I think that's reasonable. Some team's going to give him that money for sure. Some team will do it.
And if they're willing to give him that money, then they're willing to trade a number one pick too. That's all I'm saying.
Well, that's the part I'm saying. I'm not so sure about that.
I am, because you go to free agency, there's no guarantee you're going to get your guy. That's the thing, is that you're bidding against 5 other teams that really want him, and his price is going to go up even more. So you can kind of circumvent that by just trading for him.
He's not gonna give you a discount. He wants full market value.
Right, but the team that's willing to trade for him is going to give it to him.
Okay, so then they would just be better off outbidding everybody and keeping their first round pick.
We're just going to agree to disagree on that one.
Yeah, well, my franchise would kick your franchise's ass. That's all I'm saying.
No, I'm reading the league. I'm not saying how I would necessarily proceed.
How I would do it.
Okay, well, that's how you would do it. But you have to imagine there's 31 other people that make football decisions, and like I said, the top 10 or 12 teams in the league that are in the big market teams and own multi-billion-dollar companies, they don't really care about this stuff because
it's not about the money they have; it's about the salary cap.
Right. They don't care about the salary cap as much as like a Bengals team.
Well, the Bengals kind of cheat the salary cap to make it look like they're spending more than they are. But the other way of putting it is you have to be, in order to do that, you have to be a good team who's got a good cap situation to make that trade. And it's very few teams can do that.
Well, I think it's the cash on hand that makes the most. Like if you have enough,
that's not what I'm. No, I don't think that matters at all.
It matters a lot.
The Eagles didn't make that trade because they had cash on hand. The Eagles made that trade because they had, they had a good cap situation. I don't remember if Yeah, because
The reason
Hurts was
why
going
it
into his
matters if
second
you have
year,
cash on
right?
hand is because you can pay up front, right?
No.
Yes,
Not the
that's
problem with the
exactly
Bengals
how
and
it
T.
works. You
Higgins.
give
It's
them a
just they
signing
just don't want
bonus,
to give him
right?
as
And
much
you give
money.
them $30 to $60 million up front, and then they spread that money for the next 5 to 6 years, or sometimes 7 years if they do like void years or whatever, and they spread out the cap hit.
Yeah, but that's not the issue with T. Higgins.
It is the issue with T. Higgins because the Bengals are a smaller franchise compared to others, and we already have a Chase that we know we have to pay, so you can't pay 2 receivers elite money. Like it just
No NFL team is paying 2 receivers elite money, right?
I think maybe back in the day when they had Marvin Harrison and Reggie Wayne, I think.
That's different. I mean, like under the salary cap.
Well, that's relative. I mean, the salary cap was smaller, but they were still technically making elite money at the time for their position.
I don't know if that's a fact.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they both played with each other on their second contract. So I don't think at any point. Pretty sure Marvin Harrison and Reggie Wayne were considered elite at the same time at one point.
Considered elite is different than getting paid as if they're elite.
Right, but if you're considered elite and you make it to your second contract, then you get elite money.
Were they both on their second contract when they were playing with each other?
Yeah, because they played with each other for 7 years, I believe.
I don't know. You have to fact check that.
Yeah, I mean, last time I looked it up, I
Googling
think they
stuff.
played with each other for like 7 years.
I'm tired of Googling stuff. Point is that no team can afford to pay both Higgins and Chase at the same time, unless you have like a cheap quarterback.
Right. Like I said, I assume that maybe Higgins would take a little bit less, and maybe Chase on his end take a little bit less, but it's looking like Higgins is wanting as much money as he can get, which is fine. It's just he's not going to get it from the Bengals, and I think right now they're really hung up on the guaranteed portion, because I would have to think the Bengals are not that far off. Like if they're willing to take him 2 years in a row, which was reported, because like I said, that would average like around 24 million a year if they take them twice 2 years in a row. Like if you're willing to pay an average of $24 million a year, if you double take a receiver, then like, what is that receiver really asking for? That's what I'm questioning. You know what I mean? Like, because at 24, like to me, that's where he should be, around 23, 24, because that's basically what AJ Brown is getting. And I feel like they're AJ Brown and T Higgins are pretty good comps to each other in terms of I don't know. I guess because AJ Brown is the number one receiver on his team, he gets a little bit more production. But I feel like they're in ability, they're pretty similar. And then really, I thought we re-signed. Oh, they don't have it on here. Okay, I guess maybe it's further down. But I know they re-signed Akeem Davis Gaither, which I thought, for some reason, I thought he would be gone because I thought he was pretty decent. So I figured they probably wouldn't want to give him like 6 or 7 million a year. So I'm assuming he's making less than that. But they re-signed him, which I thought was pretty good in terms of depth or in special teams. Looks like they re-signed Cochran, which I wasn't aware of. I know they re-signed Cody Ford, which is more of a depth piece, which I'm not. It's not necessarily a bad re-signing because I'm pretty sure he's taking close to like the minimum. And then it looks like they did the tenders to Cal.
Adamitis,
yeah. Devin Cochran, Jake Browning, which was obvious. And Jackson Kirkland, which I feel like he was a rookie last year. I think he was the one that, or maybe I'm thinking of someone else. I think he was hurt, but I want to say, had he not had like a pretty significant injury, he probably would have been drafted. But actually, I'm not sure how that works with the rookie free agents. I don't know, like with rookie free agents, if you can have like 1-year deals or 3-year deals. You know what I mean? Like, I know if you get drafted outside of the first, it has to be a 4-year deal. If you're drafted in the first, it's a 4-year deal with a 5th-year option. There's Travion Williams, which I think this is just, I could see it where he may not even make it to the 53-man roster. I think this is just more or less like a security pick or a signing, because I really feel like they're going to go for a running back at some point in the draft. So I feel like if they draft a running back, I don't know if they're going to keep 4 running backs going into the year. I do think they would probably take 4 tight ends like they did last year, which I was kind of shocked. But I do think, because they re-signed Sample, which I'm glad they did. I think his was like a 3-year. See if they actually have it on here. I think he's basically getting like $3 million a year, which I think, to me, that's worth it because he's a really good blocker.
Mm-hmm.
And I know he was never really known as like a receiver. Like, I think it was pretty much known that he was going to be more of a blocking type tight end. But he had some decent plays last year, which showed that he could receive a little bit. But I like the way he blocks, and I noticed last year they were actually starting to put him in the backfield, which I really like. Okay, now we're getting into some of the people that we signed. Geno Stone.
I'm still caught up on the receiver thing, so I looked it up, even though I said I wasn't gonna. So I got Marvin Harrison.
Okay.
And then Reggie Wayne starting 01. So we got 1. So through 2008. So you're right, 7 years. And Reggie Wayne's cap hit was 1.5%, 1.6%, 1.3%, 1.9%. Then 2005, he was up to 3%.
Yeah, because that's outside of his rookie contract.
And then 2006, he was up to 5%, and 5% and 7. And Marvin Harrison was 7 and 10. So they peaked out at like 16% basically of their salary cap. No, wait, 2008. Yeah, well, 16%. So let's see here. And then what's the NFL salary cap?
It's gone up significantly since then.
Let's see. Does it tell us? Because we would know. We'd be able to see what T. Higgins' cap hit is this year. He's at 8%. Just saying, it's hard to do.
Yeah, I never assumed that they were going to sign both T. Higgins and Chase at both max deals. Like, that was never going to happen. It was like, for sure, T. Higgins would have to take a bit of a discount and maybe a little bit on Chase in.
Yeah, I mean,
but since he's not really willing to do that, I think the Bengals are going to start looking elsewhere. I think they were looking, and that was another thing. They did say that, like, basically T. Higgins' side wasn't really happy with the extension that was offered, and the sense that I'm getting was that he was looking more for like a long-term deal. And I can almost guarantee that the Bengals only offered like a 3-year deal. Because that's what made the most sense to me too, is that you just extend T. Higgins for another 3 years, and then you give Chase the max deal, and then basically you would have like another 3 years with both of them, and you can kind of manage that a little bit, especially with Chase being drafted in the first. Because what you do is you sign his 5th-year option, and then you extend off of that. I mean, the 5th-year option still going to be a pretty good chunk of change, but it's not going to be as much as what he could make if he hit free agency a year sooner. You know what I mean? So like, you have like an extra year to kind of manage the cap a little bit more. But since T. Higgins is looking for the max, it's just not going to happen. I think you're better off playing him this year. Hope he balls out, and then hopefully you can get a 1st-round pick next year because he played so well. I guess I'd be willing to take a 2nd if it was necessary, but but I mean, yeah, at the very least, if you let him walk, he's for sure going to give you probably a 3rd-round pick.
Yeah, he's going to be a 3rd-round guy. So it's tough to say, because the salary cap makes it harder to trade someone too. Like if you sign someone to the franchise tag, I think it makes it harder to trade them, because it's like a straight up $26 million against the cap, right?
It is, but if you sign a contract extension, you can mold it however you want to mold it.
I don't know if that works like that.
It can. It's eventually going to bite you in the butt if you keep doing it, like the Browns. But
no, but I mean, like, if someone's tagged, I don't think you can play those games, because it's like just straight up guaranteed money that year. Like, you can extend, right?
Right. If you're a player, right, your objective is to sign a big contract. So the way it would typically work is that they would only get traded to a team that they're willing to sign a contract with.
I know, but my point is that they're starting off with that guaranteed $26 million in 2025, right?
Right.
I don't know that you can make that less. Right.
I'm pretty sure you
If
can.
you're signing a guy at a free agency, you can make the 1st-year hit. You can play with that a lot. But if I think they're already tagged, I don't think that you can do much with it.
I don't know. I feel like you can, because once I see what you're saying, but once they trade him,
fully guaranteed.
Right. I mean, I guess what I'm saying is the reason
prorated like a signing, but you know what I mean. Like if you,
because it's only 1 year, but if you add 5 more years to it, then there's more things you can do with it.
I don't think so, because it's not a bonus. It's like a guaranteed salary. So it's like
no, it's an extent. I mean, they do it all the time. It's like
because they play with like the cap and the bonuses. But if you if someone has a fully guaranteed 1-year contract, that's the cap hit.
Yeah, because normally what they do to get them out of that fully guaranteed for the 1 year is that they'll say, okay, well, if you sign this contract extension, we'll give you a $50 million signing bonus, right? So it's like, instead of getting $26 million the first year, you're actually going to get 50.
Yeah, but they already have the $26 million guaranteed.
If they keep that contract.
But that's how it works, is that when you cap someone, that's the contract, right?
You mean franchise tag?
Yeah. Sorry, if you franchise tag someone, that's the contract, right?
I mean, I see what you're saying, but I think they can manipulate it if they sign an extension, because it's no different than if a veteran or whatever, or whoever signs an extension off their last year deal. I mean, I see it all the time. Like, they'll have 1 year left going into the next year, and they'll sign an extension, and then that veteran player will normally take like a veteran minimum for that 1 year, for that first year, so they can spread it out the rest of the year, and then they do all these crazy bonuses. That's what it feels like happens all the time. I mean, that's what the Browns been doing like the last 3 or 4 years, I feel like. Because there was speculation that Watson was going to restructure his deal one more time. And it was just like, because they did it like the last couple of years where he took basically the league minimum as far as salary. and the rest of it was like bonuses. And like when he restructured it, every time he restructured it, the following years added like 10 more million against the cap. So like the last, yeah, can you see it? Yeah, like I want to say it's like 63. Like his last couple of years are going to be, and even the void year was at 2027. Yeah, he's not even going to be playing. And he's got like a crazy ass cap hit. But supposedly, like he was going to like restructure his contract again.
Well, it said that he restructured it.
Well, that was last year. But yeah, I mean, they'd be smart if they just left it alone and just let it be. Because it's like you keep restructuring it, and there's definitely going to be 1 or 2 years where you can't really do anything.
It says restructure, but doesn't explain. Here you go, transactions. Converted 44.92 million of 2023 salary into signing bonus, adding 1 more year, clearing 35.8 million of cap.
Yeah, there's speculation that he was going to do that again this year.
Yeah.
But I doubt it now since free agency is almost over with. Well, not really almost over with, but the bigger signings have already occurred. I don't even know if Google would know that. Because like the contracts are getting like so goofy now with all these bonuses.
Teams and franchise players can sign multi-year extensions until July 17th. Okay. That probably has more to do with it. Adams was traded last offseason to the Raiders, who signed him to a new contract. But before then, if he had played on the tag, his tag would have been worth $20.145 million. So that's the contract you want to look at, right? You want to look at Devontae Adams would be the best example. Probably the best, for sure the best example, right? Because he was traded on the tag.
He's on the top. He's the second one.
Oh, sorry. Distracted by. I wish you could look at more. Okay. Signed a 5-year, 140. And an average annual salary 28. When was he traded again?
2022.
2022.
Yeah, you. So it looks like you can
Wide
convert
receiver
it.
tag was 18.149 in 2022. So that means that, like, if he would have played on the tag, his cap hit would have been 18.4.
Right. Yeah.
So if we see in 2022 that his cap hit was less than 18,
It's 12.
Okay. So yeah, but I think the nuance here is the date he was traded.
Yeah, it sounds like it's got to be done before July 15th
It
or
has
whatever.
to be done before like that tender is signed. So like once you hit that deadline, right? So
Right, but nonetheless, the Bengals will have the majority of the next offseason to be able to trade him. I don't.
Right. So if you franchise him, you have to trade him by July.
Yeah.
Sometime in July, right? If there's no extension in place by that date, the team and player can only agree to a 1-year contract for this season. So, like, Higgins already been tagged, right? So in theory, the Bengals could trade him July 1st, let's say. And then the team that he gets traded to can agree to a different contract structure. And I guess the extension would be based off of his current contract, which is like nothing. Is that how it worked?
Yeah.
Devontae Adams had a 5-year, 140, 19.25 signing bonus, 65 million guaranteed, annual average salary of 28. Right, so his average annual salary was 28, but his cap hit was 12, 14, or let's say 12, 15, and 25.
I bet he gets traded by the end of this year.
So his cap hit never reached his annual average salary value, and this year's the first year's cap hit is greater than what the franchise tag would be, right? Because the franchise tag was, except it was non-exclusive franchise tag.
That's where you take him for less money, but other teams can negotiate with him, and if they sign the player that's non-exclusive, then for instance, if the Bengals did that to T. Higgins and another team signed him, then the Bengals would take their next 2 first-round picks. That's what I was hoping they would do with T this year. Do the non-exclusive.
Okay. So did Higgins sign his tender, whatever that means?
Probably not yet.
Probably not.
I mean, he's probably going to hold out as long as he possibly can.
It says a player must sign his tender to be traded to another team.
It sounds like you just have until July 17th before the official year, like a season starts.
Okay. So back to the free agency. Sheldon Rankins, huh?
Yeah, well, it started out with Geno Stone, which I thought was a pretty solid pickup. And then I think we got Mike Gesicki.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got Sheldon Rankins. Because I was really hoping they would bring back Reader, but he ended up with the Lions. And I feel like the Bengals must think he's a lot more hurt. Or basically this first year coming back from the injury. I guess they're expecting him to miss significant time. Because like the contract that he got with the Lions didn't seem that bad at all.
Yeah.
But I think part of it was the Bengals saw it as more of like a 1.5 year contract, because it's like he's most likely going to miss half of the season coming up. Or maybe he will play early on in the season. I don't know, but it sounds like it's going to take a little bit, or they believe it's going to take a little bit for him to come back to full strength, or what we're used to seeing. But I don't know. I feel pretty good about Rankins. He's more of a pass rush defensive tackle, to whereas Reader was more of like a true nose tackle, where he's like basically just trying to take on the double teams and the gaps and stuff. Not really meant to like pass rush. But Rankins, he had a really good game against the Bengals last year. I think he had 3 sacks against Burrow.
Yeah, they had 6 sacks on the season. So
Well, you can only play the Bengals once.
Yeah. Well, unless you play for the Steelers, then you can play them twice.
Well, there you go. Well, I mean, Texans wise, but still, I mean, I like because I think you have to have a little bit of a pass rush from the defensive tackle. Like you can't have all of it coming from the edge because
Yeah.
I feel like if you really want to mess up some of these quarterbacks, especially like Lamar Jackson or even like Patrick Mahomes, is that like you want to be able to get to the quarterback without having to blitz too much. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Every team wants to do that, right?
well, yeah, but I mean, some teams are really good about blitzing and doing that. But then when you play a really good quarterback, they're always going to find the person open if you blitz too much. But the point I'm trying to make is that like you don't necessarily want to rush too much from the edge either. It's like you kind of want to keep him in that pocket, and if you can keep him in that pocket and have like it collapse on him, I feel like you're gonna have a lot more success than them like breaking out of the edge and then them breaking contain and then basically, especially Mahomes, he tends to make a lot of plays outside of the pocket, because they extend drives or they extend the play a lot longer than some of the other quarterbacks.
Unless you get one of those defensive ends that runs like a 4-3, 4-4, then it doesn't matter, right?
No, but even then, like, because they rush so fast and so hard, like sometimes all you have to do is just sidestep them. You know what I mean? Like they just run right past you because they're running so hard.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, it's like we got a little bit worse at defensive tackle.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I mean, it's like you had to sign Rankins because even if the Bengals re-signed DJ Reader, they probably needed another defensive tackle. So they lost Reader and then re-signed the guys. So I feel like they're treading water, but maybe got a little bit worse.
well, that,
They
and I
have to
think they
fix
just
that in
got
the
to
draft, I
change
think.
their philosophy a little bit because not every team has like a true nose tackle, and that's basically what Reader is a nose tackle. Um, so I think it's just you gotta just switch up the way you play defense a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I guess is that to me, like even though we didn't like them as much as some of the other defensive tackles, feels like that means the Bengals are going to be high on the guy from Texas, that big guy. He seems
You
like
think
more high on nose tackle.
Sweat?
Yeah, I think Sweat is probably the guy that they're going to target.
If we can get him in the third round, I'm all for it. I just the second round that's too high for me.
Reach and get him in the second round.
That would suck so much.
Need. I'm with you. I wasn't
because to me the second round is prime for that playmaker, whether it's a running back
spot.
or receiver.
Well, but they got
or tight end.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess I was thinking playmaker in terms of defensive line, but you got your two rush guys, right? You got BJ Hill and Sheldon Rankins.
Well, and plus you have Hendrickson on the edge. So yeah,
well, I meant like just a tackle
interior,
right?
Yeah.
So I mean, like they need the nose tackle type guy. So like Sweat's the guy, because all the other tackles seem more like rush guys, right? Unless I'm forgetting.
Well, Murphy, the other Texas guy.
Murphy seemed more like a rush guy, right? No.
I think he could do some similar things that a nose tackle can do.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
He's more highly regarded than Sweat, right? Sweat's kind of like, I mean, I think it's realistic to think that you could get Sweat in the third round, although I wouldn't be surprised if he goes earlier because I don't think the Bengals are the only team that wishes they had some more defensive tackle. So
I don't know,
like the
but
defensive tackle market was high in free agency, so that means that there's not a lot of defensive tackles in the draft. So I think that they're going to get picked relatively high compared to like what their like, you know, like comps would be historically, like in terms of athleticism and production, right? I think the defensive tackles are going to go higher. Maybe offensive tackles are going to go lower than they would in a normal year because there's a lot of depth. But I mean, to me, the signal's clear, right? the defensive tackles that were free agents this year made money, and I think that's like a clear sign that like the draft is not as deep at defensive tackle as team to match the team needs, right? So I think there's going to be a lot of competition for the good defensive linemen in the draft.
Yeah, I could see Sweat sliding to the third, especially like the higher end of the third round, because like.
But I don't think he'll make it out of the second round. There weren't that many defensive tackles.
Yeah, but you got to look at the other positions and what value you're going to bring. Because like if you draft Sweat, which for what he specializes in, which is basically nose tackle, double teams, stopping the gaps or whatever, he's not going to be like an every down player, right? So a second round pick for someone that's just like a specialty type player that you don't even know if is going to pan out seems kind of rich for me. You know what I mean? Like, and I feel like a lot of other teams are going to feel the same way, especially with this draft that has so much talent at like wide receiver and I would even say tight end a little bit. I feel like the tight ends were kind of overlooked. Like watching a lot of the film on the tight ends, I'm like, man, there's actually a lot of quality tight ends.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is there's a shortage of defensive tackles in the NFL right now. So any guy that looks like he can play is going to get drafted higher than what he should because of the shortage.
Was it Newton, Murphy? I don't think there's anyone else. I think those are like basically
the about draft. We should just mock it up. Any other free agency talks other than like it's good that Von Bell's back?
Yeah, no. Well, yeah, I'm happy that Von Bell is back, especially if you pair him with Geno Stone, and I know them two are probably going to get the majority of the snaps. Because it seems like Hill is probably going to be more of a like playing corner, and do it maybe covering the slot or maybe specializing in covering the tight end, which I think makes a lot of sense. Because again, you want Bell to play a lot, produce a lot, and that way he gets another big or decent contract next year potentially, and that's just another comp pick, right? Because I doubt we're going to re-sign him after this year. Unless he decides to take a lot less, which I don't know if he will. But
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I mean he's getting older. I don't know. Like I think maybe this
like
past contract was
right.
Well, yeah, but he technically should have had 2 more years of this past contract. So it's like, yeah, he might be past his. I guess what do they call it? Making a bag years where you get significant money coming in, and then Zach Moss.
Yeah, how could we not talk about Zach Moss? It's exactly what we needed. Someone with big playability that can pass block.
Trey Benson. Well, I don't know if he can pass block, but
I'm just saying that's Zach Moss is a better fit for the way the Bengals run their offense.
I mean, I can't be mad at it. I mean, as much as I wanted to keep Mixon, like
to me, the Bengals got better. Mixon went. He didn't fit the offense. Now you get Zach Moss who fits the offense. I think they got better at that position for the offense they run.
Plus, we got another draft pick. That was kind of surprising to me.
If you're gonna run the ball between the tackles 25, 30 times a game, I feel like Mixon's probably a better fit, but that's just not what they do.
Yeah,
that's not what they want to do with Burrow. I think Mixon is a better fit for the offense that they ran after Burrow got hurt, but the offense they want to run with Burrow, Zach Moss is a better fit. So I think that was a clear upgrade.
And then I really like Trent Brown. I feel like we kind of talked about him before free agency a little bit.
Yeah, I was surprised that we got him because I do remember looking at him like, why don't we get Trent Brown? He's got an awesome pass blocking grade, and they got him. So
I think maybe partly because he's getting older and
no,
I don't want to say attitude issues, but
it is. I think it's like what you're seeing with defensive tackles, you're seeing the opposite with offensive tackles. To me, this is a clear sign that the NFL consensus is that the tackles in the draft are really good, and every team is just planning on drafting their next
Offensive
tackle.
tackles.
Yes, offensive tackle. And then conversely, defensive tackles, the NFL's looking at the draft and saying there aren't enough, and everybody's going out and spending money on defensive tackles.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that a little bit because
That's-
there was
that's
like
my
hardly
prediction.
any movement on. I don't think the first couple of days there was any significant tackle signings. It's like
Yeah, and you got
offensive
I mean-
tackles.
I think Mekhi Becton's still out there.
Yeah,
available, right?
he is. He
Because
is.
I think every team's like, well, why would we give him money and take a risk when we feel like there's someone just as good in the draft?
Yeah, because I mean, at this point, they're probably gonna see who they can draft first, and if they don't get the person that they want, then they may sign him. Or
Yeah, I feel
they,
like Becton's going to be a very popular guy after the draft because there's probably going to be 2 or 3 teams that are going to go through the draft and not get the guy they thought they were going to get,
right?
and they're going to call him right away. Whereas that's the thing that I like most about the Trent Brown thing is that the Bengals are in position that if they don't get a tackle, they're not in trouble for next year, right? Because I think I would still pick a tackle in the first round, mostly because the way the NFL's been operating, I think that the tackles are good. And looking at the type of dudes the Bengals signed in free agency, I think that both of those SEC guys like fit the bill, right? They like big dudes to play tackle. So you got Mims or JC Latham. Those guys are like big dudes. They kind of fit the mold that it seems like the Bengals are looking for their tackles. So I like the idea of if you draft one of those guys, slot them in at left guard for this season, and then when Trent Brown's contract's up, slide him out to right tackle.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll do that. The
Bengals love guards with tackle potential.
I don't know if you draft. I mean, you could. I like the thing when I heard Fuaga in his little interview with the media during the combine. He said teams asked him if he could play guard, which I thought. Well, I guess with him, I think he does have shorter arms too, so I think that was probably part of it. But I don't know. I feel like if you draft like a Mims or a Latham, like they're probably going to be the tackle right away.
Like
you wouldn't.
I don't think they're going to be better than Trent Brown. If Trent Brown's healthy, he's better.
See, that's another thing I don't like about the pick. Then it's like if they're not going to start right away, especially if they're,
start him at left guard.
I don't know if they do that though.
Why?
I don't know. I mean, can Mims and Latham play guard?
I just assumed that if you could play tackle, you could play guard.
You're probably right. I think sometimes as fans we overthink things, and
yeah, I mean, isn't that what they did with our guy from Oregon?
Who? Powers Johnson?
No, when we drafted Chase. Remember the Chase versus what's his face debate?
Oh, Sewell.
Yeah, didn't Penei Sewell play guard his first year?
No, he played right tackle.
I don't think so.
No, I'm pretty sure he did.
Because I thought they had 2 tackles.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he played right guard and he struggled a little, right tackle, and I think he struggled a little bit. And then towards the end of the year, he got better, and then he's just been really good ever since. Shouldn't it be on PFF? I feel like PFF would have his grades.
Maybe. Game logs. Seasons? Come on now.
I think that's for like the NFL in general. You could just look up Lions 2021 depth chart.
Yeah, you're right. He played right tackle. Huh. Okay. All right, you want to draft it up?
Let's do it. With the Bengals, we have 10 picks now. I feel like they're definitely going to trade up either in the second or the third.
All right, you ready to go?
Let's do it.
Got Latham and Mims. Okay, so he played right tackle and right guard.
Play a little bit of right guard.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But I think if you're in the NFL, though, truthfully, if you make it to the 53-man roster, I think there is somewhat of an expectation that you, if you need it to, you have to play multiple positions.
So Mims only played tackle.
I think that guy's played guard too. Oh no,
Only
just left tackle.
So, and then JC Latham. Does he have his size on here? 6'6", 335. Play a little guard, draft him, slide him in at guard.
I don't know. Like, I feel like Newton also makes a lot of sense. Just based off of how free agency went.
Mm-hmm.
But then I feel like then you would definitely have to pick a tackle in the second round.
All right. Well, we've picked offensive tackle a lot in the first round. So I say we go with Newton.
Yeah, let's do it. I just want to see.
Let's just see how it plays out.
Yeah. Oh.
Of course, Fiskey's there. See? Fisk. See? Could have got Fisk, man.
There's our guy from Yale.
Don't like him at all. He did play some left guard.
Who are the tackles that are left? Maybe when's our next pick? 80?
Yeah. I think
maybe we can get Patrick Paul in the third round.
Yeah, maybe Blake Fisher. Oof. Okay. So what do you want to do here?
Well, I want to see what receivers are there. I like 3 of them.
Okay, well, who do you like best?
Well, the one I like the best is Worthy, but
all right, well, let's trade down then. Did Worthy get picked?
Yeah.
Damn it.
And there's Burton, but now I just feel like now we got to get the tackle. I don't know. I feel like you kind of have to go for Fisher now.
Fisher? Who?
He's the highest rated tackle right now.
Where is he? Oh, Fisher?
Yeah. I feel like PFF is so off on Worthy.
Yeah. Six 3-5. I mean, we're going down this path. I almost just say let's just pick Sweat.
Yeah, I mean, why not? Go ahead. I wouldn't necessarily do it, but I'm interested to see what happens.
Yes.
Oh, there's Trey Benson. What do we got? We got 80 and 94. I say we go for Benson, and then Patrick Paul.
All right.
Oh, you got picked.
I was gonna say we need to pick him. Oof. Don't like this draft.
So Christian Jones, and I think we got Foster. Yeah.
Dominic Puny.
Played left guard.
6'5", 320.
22. Man, if we're gonna pick double defensive tackles, we should have just got Fisk.
We're so stupid. Oh my gosh.
I say you either go for
a linebacker or we could just get a guard. Why not just draft a guard? Because they tell us we're not allowed to pick a guard and we're going to get bad grade. I'm just going to go the highest rated tackle, which is Dominic Puny, who we have not seen at all. I get Eric Hall.
Well, we can get that with our next pick. It's only 3 away.
True. Okay. Ooh, now we can get a guard. So we're in round 3. We picked 2 defensive linemen, 2 defensive tackles.
Yeah, we got Newton, Sweat, and then Benson, and then we got that tackle.
Okay,
Puny.
so we got running back and a tackle. Okay. So
I say go for the guard.
Yeah, Mahogany.
Unless is Inter still there?
Oh, I think he is.
We're still in the 3rd round though, right? It's probably a bit early for him.
Yeah, he's here.
Can you filter out the receivers real quick? There's Taj Washington, but I think we can, or Luke McCaffrey. Actually, a corner wouldn't be bad. Or maybe the best available linebacker. The guy from Notre Dame.
I'm on board.
Oh, wow. Wow, Christian Jones is still there?
What?
Christian Jones, the guy out of Texas. Wait, 115? This might be a tight end pick.
We like Stover a little bit. A lot of tight ends left.
Yeah. Like literally the top 5 or 6, I would take any one of them.
Maybe an edge.
That or a corner. So we already got our linebacker.
Don't even know anything about this guy.
Six foot. Good size. Ooh, 6'2". Even better.
I don't feel like the Bengals like tall corners.
I feel like at one point they did.
Not liking how this draft is going for us.
This is a draft we're going to get an A on.
Yeah. I hate it. A+.
I'd say go with the best available corner.
Okay.
Wow, no one picked Cade Stover? Oh, I guess we had several picks.
Mm-hmm. I feel like this is the tight end pick. You either go Stover, Sinnott, Theo Johnson, Holker. We pick again at 149. Maybe the next pick is tight end.
Yeah.
About the edge. Nope.
Keep going down. Oh, Taj Washington's still there? Okay. Maybe I'll Zinter. Okay. Maybe we do go tight end. Like, I like Sinnott better than Stover. I still think they have him like, oh, damn, they just got that receiver.
Didn't even ask.
It's all right.
Ooh, Tip Ryman.
There you go. Anthony Gold.
You like him?
Yeah, because he's fast. I feel like maybe going for a center wouldn't be a bad idea.
Don't know what to do at this stage. I mean, we picked so many players, so it's like there are no longer any real needs, right?
Yeah, that's why I feel like even 10 picks feels like too many. But I guess at this point, yeah, we just need to start looking at defensive end. If there is any available. Any good ones. Looks like we gotta wait at least one more pick.
Safety?
I mean, you
wouldn't be
could,
surprised if they
but
didn't draft a safety
that's
at
like
all.
one position I know that the Bengals are probably good at. Wouldn't have to worry about. I guess it would kind of make sense to get another receiver. But yeah, I think people that are getting picked right now probably would have a hard time making the roster.
Go David White Jr.
There you go.
And you said you want an edge. Oh, we have the next pick too.
Huh.
Did we pick a linebacker? Yeah, we did.
Yeah. Go back to the top. I'd say screw it and just get another tackle. I mean, if we draft so many, we're bound to get one right.
Yeah, I feel like Benson was a bit early for us.
Well, according to PFF, I don't know. It's hard to watch his film and think that he's going to be there in the third.
Yeah, that's true. Got B plus.
We got a B plus.
Yeah.
So Newton, Sweat, Benson. Yeah, I think they were in a position, the Bengals, where they should probably try to trade up in the second round.
Yeah, we might should have, since we traded down in the second round.
Yeah.
We probably should have tried to trade up.
It's kind of tough because the settings, because it's going so fast, you can't like pause it in time to.
Well, yeah, we could adjust that. Next
Yeah,
time
because
we
I,
do it, we should try to trade up.
I think so too, because I think that's kind of where the sweet spot's going to be for them. Because it's like if they get the offensive tackle that they want, right, then they're probably going to miss out on the defensive tackle that they want, or
Mhm.
vice versa. If they get the defensive tackle that they want, then they're probably going to miss out on the offensive tackle. That's worth
Mhm.
picking early. So I feel like if they can get another high second round pick, that would kind of solve that issue. And then really
Yeah.
the rest of the draft would be truly BPA if you can get those offensive and defensive tackles figured out early.
Mm. Yeah.
Because even 10 picks seems like why do they need all those picks?
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think like the move is to try to trade up in the second round and try to get. I feel like your first 2 rounds, you got to get your defensive tackle and your offensive tackle.
Yeah, because in the third round there's gonna be some decent receivers, some solid running backs, and then like the fourth round, maybe you go for a tight end then, depending on how things are going.
Yeah. I
Or
don't think they
or
need a
get
tight
Zinter.
end.
I'm cool with Zinter in the fourth.
I don't think they need to draft a tight end high. I think 5th or 6th round is probably good for a tight end.
I would take Zinter in the fourth.
Yeah, I like Zinter a lot. I think that he's underrated in this. I don't think he's going to be a 5th round guy.
Yeah, there's no way. I actually
think he's-
seen a lot of mocks where he's going in the third round.
That's what I was going to say. I think he's like a 3rd round guy because I feel like he'd be a 2nd rounder if he wasn't hurt, and I just don't think that injuries.
I feel like he'd be a first rounder if he wasn't hurt.
Yeah, maybe. I just don't think teams are scared or afraid of injuries as they used to be.
Yeah.
And it was like a leg. I think he broke his leg, right? He didn't break he didn't blow out his knee or something.
Yeah, it was a broken leg.
So of course I don't know. That's just me. To me, it's like, oh, it's just the bone. It's not it's not a joint.
Yeah, no, his I remember watching his highlight film and it just seemed like his stood out to me because he just seemed really physical and dominant. It was like,
Yeah.
man, why is no one talking about this guy? And then, oh, he's hurt.
Yeah. So we got B plus. I give this draft a C minus. I don't like this at all.
Yeah, I think. And honestly, if we got Fisk in the second round, I probably would like it a little bit better.
Yeah, I would much rather get one of the SEC tackles and then Fisk.
Yeah, but realistically, I don't think Fisk is going to be there mid second round.
No, I don't think so.
I mean, if he's there, that would be phenomenal. Like, I don't know how if you're the Bengals, how you would pass that up. But I just don't think he's going to be there. I think he might be towards the end of the first, but for sure, like high second. But then again, the Lions. Wait, no. Yeah, scroll up a little bit. Okay, so it's Carolina. Yeah, see, they gave the Chiefs Adonai Mitchell, who was also still pretty fast.
Mm-hmm.
I think he ran like a 4.3, I want to say. But he's much bigger. I think he's like 6'2" than Worthy. But yeah, if you switch out Latham for Newton.
Mm-hmm.
But if we did that, then we would for sure take Fisk in the second.
Yeah, we would have. traded and they took the guy we would have picked.
Chris Jenkins went end of third or second.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, yeah. I mean, if we get Trey Benson in the third, I'd be ecstatic about that.
Yeah. All right, man. I think we've done enough of this. Ready to sign off?
Yeah. Yeah. So next week you want to look over more defensive tackles? Is that what you said? Or
yeah, we could do that.
Yeah. Well, I think we want to go over some of the earlier prospects that we looked at because things have changed a little bit. So especially with the combine coming out, and then maybe we can start looking at different prospects that we haven't even seen yet. So
yeah.
But for that, or with that, we'll end it now, and then we'll be back next week. Oops.